Okay.
We're streaming.
Okay.
Mhm.
There we are. So apologies first, I'm gonna go back to the resolution B that we skipped over, and my apologies. So Town of Rochester Town Board appoints Christopher Lopez, the position of constable probationary, part-time provisional, at a pay rate of $16 per hour, effective October 16, 2023, or upon certification by New York State, contingent on completion of any qualifications or certifications as may be required to fulfill the position.
I'll make that motion.
Second. He is available Wednesday evenings for the court, which is a huge, and he just completed the training. And we got approval back from New York State yesterday.
To say congratulations to Rich. He continues to find, quality people to fill these positions. He does a great job at that.
He works with the Parks Commission, I believe, at Minnewaska and
Bear Mountain.
Bear Mountain. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Great, thank you. Okay, now on to the granary proposal. As people remember, we started this last week. We will not backtrack over what we completed last week. So for the board, and it did add a page to what was here last week, 20 pages, but because I added I changed the wording to from site plan to conceptual. What was the wording on it? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's longer than site plan, and it made it go another page. I did add that in. I made the changes that we all agreed to. So we'll start on page 9 for the board with the findings. I believe the first page, the first 14 findings, I've made the changes. If anybody, we'll just ask if anybody wants to go back on any of these, to any of these, or are we okay with the first 14?
I'm okay.
Okay, so let's go page by page. So then 15 through 25, I made the changes. I'm on the next page. We can wait a moment while everybody, rather than rereading them, I'm just going to go to the ones that we did not address last meeting.
I have one real small thing that I just thought this
Okay.
week, which is the worker housing and F.
Yep.
Isn't that in the same building? The 2 units.
It is.
So that would be considered a 2-family
Um,
dwelling?
yeah, but it's not a conversion. It's not a new 2-family. It already was an existing 2-family.
Okay.
So it's still a principal permitted use in the hamlet as a 2-family, but if you want to add the word worker housing, instead of 2 units, we could say 2-family.
Yeah, I didn't make a note of it. I thought, but if you're saying, I thought it required special use.
Only if it's a conversion to a new 2-family if it's an existing 2-family, it's still a 2-family.
Isn't that also the storage and vacuum house in that building?
Well, we
Yeah.
decided that it wasn't a use.
We
so
decided it
wasn't
was not a,
Okay.
remember, we deleted that by saying it was not a use. We're just talking about uses, not buildings in this case. So I'm happy to add leased worker housing 2 units if you want to reference it being a 2-family structure. I'm fine with that.
Okay. 2-family dwellings, I see, conversions is a special use, 2-family dwellings new is a principal permitted use.
And this is not either.
It's
It's an existing 2-family,
that's being
and it's
renovated.
being renovated. It's continuing to be a 2-family.
Okay,
So we can change the wording from worker housing 2 units to 2 family. But
I was gonna propose that in the decision part, that we insert the names of the uses that are as they are in our use table, but I don't necessarily think we have to do that for the finding.
okay,
But I don't know what the rest of the board thinks.
um,
I just wanted to make sure we got the principle. I thought it was a conversion, so I thought it was a special use, but
no, it's not
it's
a
not,
conversion.
it's not a conversion.
Not a conversion. That would be taking a single family and making it into a 2-family. And the
Right.
reason that's there is because of
Yeah.
water and septic.
Exactly. Yep. No, I see that. Okay,
Okay,
that was, I don't have any.
so 15 through 25, everybody is okay with? So 26 through 40? I guess in 30, Aaron could say the continuation of the 2-family structure for worker housing.
Mhm.
People okay with that addition?
We didn't add anything to 30, we only just took out that middle sentence that had been there, correct? Okay.
Yeah, I just deleted what we took out.
Yeah, I was just making sure we only took out that we did.
But we'll add the word 2-family structure for worker housing. Okay. Any other changes on through 40? Okay. Moving on to 41 through 56.
Forty-nine,
Yep.
I'm just wondering if in there we should say, that the updated square footage and projected uses are not likely to generate more than 500 chips per day.
Yeah,
Previously they did.
that wording of 49 is direct word for word from our consultant of the report back to us, so we can certainly modify it, but that's why I said the town board finds in concurrence with the town's consultant. And then I used a direct quote out of I can put quotation marks around it.
We could say, the town board finds that in concurrence with the town's consultant, the projected uses as depicted on the current conceptual development plan.
On the, let's use the date.
The most recent.
Yeah, we'll use the date, which was, I'm sorry. Conceptual development plan dated 8/23. So 40 is now, oh, no, not 40. What was the number, Charlotte? 49. Town board finds concurrence that the projected uses as shown on the 8/23 conceptual development plan. Are not likely, and then I'm gonna put quotations around the not likely to generate through issues, because that was the direct quote from the consultant. Okay?
Yeah.
So with those changes, everybody's okay with what you know, okay? Any other changes on the rest of 356? Okay, 57 through 72. Actually, let's just go through 71. The 72 starts the section that we did not really talk about. So through 71, 72 is the noise impacts. Through 71.
I feel,
You guys should talk loud enough so the public can hear. So,
I was asking Erin that we solved the parking lot issue that she brought up with what was in our actual zoning based off what they calculated.
Yeah,
And then,
we
we
took
this is
the-
now and made it just leave it how it was.
the concern that I raised was that it is not in, it is not according to our adopted. That, so we edited where the, there was a sentence somewhere that said, the town board finds that that this is in conformance with our adopted parking law, and we took that out.
We haven't adopted that yet.
Because it's the chart that is adopted doesn't use these calculations.
Okay, that's why we left it as just the zoning code, not referencing a chart.
Yeah,
Okay, follow.
Yes, it's in conformance with what is allowed in the zoning code, but not with the calculation chart.
but the calculations are recommendations that by our own acknowledgement, we're lessening in the upcoming zoning code changes, so because we're trying to reduce stormwater. So, okay, so 72 addresses the applicant's considerations of what they propose for sound. So,
So I wanted to add either a finding right before that or
I think we should add.
a finding right after.
I think we should add it after as part of your proposal. I think we should add as part of 73, in my opinion, which is a segment, a group of statements.
So what I wanted to add was, and we can,
How about A, B, and C, we leave as is, so we're gonna add a new D that you're gonna present right now. Is everybody okay with that? That we leave the first 3 as is, and then we add a new D?
okay,
So what we're leaving, just for the public, it says the application is not requesting consideration of the use commercial events facility as defined in the town zoning code. B, the town board does not consider this use having been included in the application, and it has not been specifically included in any petitions or it should be have a the there, conceptual development plan presented. C, should the applicant desire to hold commercial events as defined in the town zoning code, they would be required to apply with a zoning permit seeking determination of use from the code enforcement officer. Do we want to do a new 74 instead of a D? Eric, with your new change?
yeah, we should do that because it's all about.
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a new 74. So.
Okay,
I'll let
so
you-
this is what I have. And I didn't send this to anybody, so. The town board finds that due to the proximity to current residential use, and the proposed density of the project, the potential negative impacts of noise, or we could say amplified sound, I don't know which one we should say, is not entirely mitigated by the applicant's proposal.
Let's just go back. So the applicant's proposal is about amplified sound.
Mhm.
So I would say we should use the word amplified sound rather than noise.
Okay,
And I'm gonna let you either repeat that or email it to me later if the board agrees to that wording in order to get it in here.
and then I added more to that if we want to include it. In particular, the town board finds that the potential negative impact of amplified sound is greatly increased during the evening hours of the work and school week. And then I just put negative impacts include disruption of sleep and traditional bedtime hours, the ability for residents to have open windows in the evening and enjoy the use of their property with the outdoor use of their property without the intrusion of outdoor sound. I don't know if we want to add that. but-
Yeah, so what I would like to do is do 74 as the town board finds the following, make what you just said, both statements, letter A. And then I'd like to make the existing D be letter B of that 74. But before we do that, let's have discussion on what Aaron just proposed. Does anybody have any changes they would like to add to that wording that she proposed? And if you need her to say it again, she certainly can say it.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay, including Mary Lou, because
What email you need?
So
oh, just the wording. Okay, so the town board finds,
this is, I'm sorry, this is gonna be a 74.
It's gonna be a 74A. So 74 will say the town board finds the following. This will be letter A, what Aaron is presenting.
finds the following, that due to the proximity to current residential use and the proposed density of the project, the potential negative impacts of amplified sound is not entirely mitigated by the applicant's proposal.
Can we say may not be entirely? Because I don't know,
May
without
not.
having done a study, we can definitively say it
May.
is not.
May not entirely be mitigated by the applicant's proposal. In particular, the town board finds that the potential negative impact of amplified sound is greatly increased during the evening hours of the work and school week. Potential negative impacts include disruption of sleep and traditional bedtime hours, and the ability for residents to have open windows in the evening and enjoy the outdoor use of their property without the intrusion of outdoors. Or we say without the intrusion of amplified music.
Everybody okay with that?
And so just to clarify what we're doing, so this is the finding that the board is stating, and then conditions will be part of the decision.
Correct.
That address.
So the finding is establishing the basis for conditions, which are not part of our findings.
Right.
Our findings are, we've reviewed the application, we've heard from the public. This is our thoughts based on the information that we have in front of us. And then any conditions we want to impose on the approval are part of the approval, which would be, they'd be conditions in order to satisfy the approval. So the finding is that what they have proposed may not mitigate, and we're stating why we believe it may. So is everybody okay with Aaron's wording? And I'm going to ask you to email that to me, myself and the board, so they all can see it. And I will add it in rather than writing it in word for word right now. Then what I would like to do is the 73D, call that B, 74B, and we will say regarding sound from the uses which are allowed within approval of this EEO application, any sound produced from any activity is required to follow the conditions of 140-20, and let's add in the letter F, because that is the part on noise of the town of Rochester zoning code. So they are obligated to follow the 10 dB above ambient noise in all cases.
And then for the next one,
We want to reword this.
I'd like to reword it, and if we could include, I would like to include here that we can encourage the planning board during site plan review to do their additional review, and if they feel they need to impose further mitigating measures that are granted to them under that section during their site plan review, they may. It would be in addition to the conditions.
So how about we word it this way? The town board, I don't think we have to say will, the town board encourages the planning board in site plan review to review the potential noise impacts.
Should we start by saying that the town board acknowledges that the planning board may review these things?
We're gonna, I'm doing it the opposite. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, we're encouraging them to review it, and then I'm gonna do exactly what you just said.
Okay.
But I'm saying it the other direction. So the town board encourages the planning board in site plan review to review the potential noise impacts according to section 140-20F. And do you have it up, Aaron?
Yeah.
We can just quote the section about.
So we're saying, you want to quote
Yeah, it's F, what's the number?
number one,
F1,
actually, and then,
okay,
well, it's the second sentence of the planning board may, as a condition of site plan review and approval, require setbacks, buffers, fencing, or reasonably limit the hours of operation.
right, okay. So I'm just gonna quote according to 140-20 F1, and then I will quote. No, it's not F1, it's F. No, it is F1.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm only gonna quote the section that starts with the planning board. I'm not gonna quote the first section. So it says, the planning board may, as a condition of site plan review and approval, require additional setbacks, buffers, and fencing, or reasonably limit the hours of operation to attenuate or mitigate any potential noise impacts of any proposed use.
Should we say something about that they can do this in addition to any conditions that we put on? Or is that
Sure.
obvious? Okay.
We can say that. So town board encourages, well, I don't think we need to say it in this section.
Okay,
Because I think we will add the conditions in our
okay,
decision.
we'll make it obvious. Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, so we're gonna quote the section beginning with the planning board. And that will be 74C. Okay. And we're also going to remove the top of the next page, 15, the remainder of that is going to go away. So 74, what was 74 is now going to be 75. And we went through the rest of these already. Let's just go right through the end. 70, each will increase by one number. I do want to add a condition that I don't think we addressed regarding the rail trail. And we probably should make that be it should probably be the new number 80, so between 78 on our page will be 79. And we'll add a new 80. And what I'd like to say, the town board finds the O&W rail trail actually, let's say the O&W rail bed lies on this property. However, the town board is not seeking to continue the trail through this parcel. At this time. And any future considerations would require amendment to the site plan. Then I'd also like to say the current town board is exploring options along Granite Road. With Ulster County. I have had those conversations with county, and at this point, nothing is happening because they're looking at the O&W throughout the entire length of it. And at this time, they're just doing a feasibility study. Quite honestly, before anything happens with acquisitions, with building, we are very likely a decade away or more. And that's a guess on my part, but unless they can come up with some significant funding, they're just doing a study of how do we achieve it at this point, and that's probably 2 years away. So is everybody okay with the wording of that? I just wanted to address it because I realized we did not address it and it was a concern that was raised. Yep.
I just don't know if it's, I mean, is it reasonable to say that the town board is not doing that? Is kind of it's the applicant's property? Like, we're not currently considering putting the rail trail through their property.
Right. Well, what I think what we're saying is we're not even approaching the applicant to, that's essentially what we are saying.
Okay.
It is the applicant's property, and we would have to negotiate an agreement with them in order for it to go across their property, either through easement or acquisition. Anything like that would require a change to the site plan.
Okay.
So we would have to go through the site plan process.
Yeah, that's fine.
amendment to
I
the site
thought it was
plan.
weird that we
Yeah.
making claims when it's not even our, if they want to do a rail trail, they can do that.
Well, true.
But this would be a piece of the O&W rail trail
Right.
that we're not considering. There's no funding.
What I'm trying to say is we are not considering this
They
right
can make
now.
it like that.
You know, even if they want to, the town has to be involved in the rail trail. I mean, yes, they could develop this on their own, but it's not part of their application.
Okay, I mean, we
Do you want to add
say
in,
this
do you want
time.
to, do we want to add in, the applicant is not currently applying for such?
No, I don't, I think.
I think, I think we should add in that, because in their original presentation, they talked about
Right.
expanding.
But they did remove that from it.
Yes, but I think including saying the applicant is no longer
Okay, so-
pursuing that also just dots all of our i's and crosses our
Okay.
t's.
so we'll say the current town board is exploring options along Granite Road with Ulster County. And then will be a period, and then we'll say the applicant is not proposing.
Continuation of the rail trail as part of this
As part
application.
of this.
Yeah.
portion.
Okay. Everybody okay with that wording? So that'll be the new 80. So then the current 79 becomes 81, 80 becomes 82, 81 becomes 83, 83 becomes 84, and that finishes out the findings. Does anybody have any additional findings they think we need to add? Or are we prepared to say draft findings were prepared by the supervisor, read, discussed, and amended by the town board in public meeting, and let's say on 10/5/23 and 10/12. There's a 12. Yeah, 23.
The new section we created, I'm sending you guys the language form, text form, that's 73.
74.
That's
It's
74.
74A. So 74 is gonna
Correct.
say the town board finds the following. A is what you're proposed, what you proposed. The D, 73D becomes B with the, becomes 74B. And then the one where we quote the 140/20F becomes 74C.
Great.
Okay?
All you need is A for, right?
All I need
No,
is A from you.
Oh, okay, I typed those.
Okay, I mean, I have the
Oh,
language from.
Great.
So with those changes, I'm gonna ask for a motion for the draft findings were prepared by the supervisor, were read, discussed, and amended by the town board in public meeting on 10/5/23 and 10/12/23.
I'll make that motion.
One second.
Think we have had discussion, but I'll ask, is there any further discussion? Okay. I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, since I would prefer the public can hear each of us say it independently, so Kate, can you do that?
Councilman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anáwó. Aye. Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Councilwoman Suisa.
Aye.
Supervisor Grady.
Aye. Okay, next, moving to the local law. Because we have made changes to this decision, we must wait 8 days to present it to the board for consideration. So we will not be voting on the local law itself tonight.
Let's make,
We should
we have to make the change.
Right.
It's not
Understood.
that it's to the decision, it's that's to the local law.
Understood, but I was just stating that, so I wanted to just ask the board, if we would like, and I think I know the answer, we're gonna go through the recommended resolution tonight and make any changes in the recommended resolution, and then we will adopt when we convene 8 days from now to adopt the local law and the recommended resolution simultaneously.
Yeah, we want to finish.
We're gonna finish it tonight. I
Have it
will
done.
circulate it to everybody tonight by email, 8 days from now, which will be the 20th of October. We will convene a meeting to vote on this.
So don't forget after all of this to schedule a special meeting.
Understood. But I'm just being clear that everybody understands from the board and from the public of what we're talking about. So in order to hold the public hearing, there was a local law. It was not given a number at the time. Our next number is local law 10. That is what this local law number will be, local law 10 of 2023. It is very short and simple. Section 1 says the zoning map of the town of Rochester shall be amended to reflect that the parcels contained in Ulster County Tax Map 77.9, it's the 5 tax map parcels located at 2 Towpath Road, 4 Towpath Road, 8 Towpath Road, and Granite Road, and located in the Hamlet zoning district shall be further included in the economic enterprise overlay zoning district with the adoption of this local law. There's a severability section. The effective date, we're gonna say this effective date, we can still say, right?
It will be effective upon take away immediately.
Okay, it will become effective upon,
The filing of in the office of the New York Secretary of State.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
right,
And
and,
I sent you the language of how I go back. And to just,
yeah,
and
the completion of a lot improvement.
And I would say completion and filing. in the county clerk's office.
Okay,
A lot improvement.
is it filing or recording?
Filing.
Okay. Filing of the lot improvement.
That,
In the county clerk's
should
office.
we say what the lot improvement should be, which is all the parcels?
Yeah, well, in the county clerk's office of the merger of the 5 parcels in section 1. We don't have to list them again because they're
And
already
of
listed.
course, the applicant can apply for that at any time.
Yes.
And they may already have, I'll check with the code enforcement office and let them know that that can be sent to the planning board if it's in order.
Okay. So now moving on. This will be the resolved. The local law identified during public hearing as local law blank 2023 is hereby renamed local law 10 of 2023. Is adopted pursuant to these resolutions. Town of Rochester Town Board grants economic, this is the proposal, this is not, we will not be adopting this at this moment. Grants economic enterprise overlay zoning designation to Accord LLC for the land situated at Granite Road, 17 Devo Lane, 2 Towpath Road, 4 Towpath Road, and 8 Towpath Road. I actually should correct local law section 1 to match that, because that actually is what the tax maps have as the address. It's not 2, 4, and 8 Towpath Road. There's a 17 Devo Lane one. That's what the county has on the record.
So that's enough. We're gonna.
So we're gonna take the addresses, Granite Road, 17 Devo Lane, 2 Towpath Road, 4 Towpath Road, and 8 Towpath Road, and insert it in section 1 to replace 2 Towpath Road, 4 Towpath Road, 8 Towpath Road, Granite Road. So I'm gonna just change the it's gonna basically add 17 Devo Lane, which is the 5th parcel, which does not have direct frontage on a town road. Located in the H and AP overlay zoning districts, grants the following uses for the above named parcels, and there I agree with you, Aaron. So we say restaurant, tavern, coffee shop with indoor and outdoor dining. Those are uses that are in our code.
I don't think that, it doesn't say coffee shop
Okay.
anywhere.
Uh,
I was thinking we could maybe put them side by side, so we could say like,
Restaurant and tavern are in our.
it's restaurant tavern. Yeah, it's a part of the restaurant definition, I guess.
Well,
It's not a separate use.
It's not a separate use, but they are proposing, it's all one use. But we're saying we're granting the following uses, so should we just say restaurant/tavern and not put in the coffee shop? It's part of the
Because
use.
at the.
Yeah.
It's just, that's,
I just wanted them to match. I wanted there to be a.
I understand, but that's what I'm saying, we take your coffee shop out and restaurant and tavern are in our code. Okay, retail bike shop is retail. I think we specifically say bike shop though, because that's what they've asked for.
Dash in there.
Mhm.
Retail dash bike shop.
Yep.
Yep, okay, you got it. Artist gallery and co-work space,
So the gallery is in there, co-work is not, so co-work would be
office.
office.
So can I say co-work space and put in parentheses, office? Or
I'd say
okay?
office and put co-work space.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I had.
Okay,
It's in the special use table. It's a museum, gallery,
Underneath.
yeah.
yeah, it's all listed together as. So, and we're removing the back of house and office space, correct? Wait a minute, though, aren't we approving 6 different uses? Oh, you know what?
We need to separate.
We need to
gallery
separate
and office.
Gallery and office, yes. So artist gallery is C, the office is gonna be D. And we're gonna remove back of house and office space because
They're part of the.
they're part of. The and is E,
Yep,
and the worker housing,
it's two-family.
we're gonna say two-family dwelling. And we'll put worker housing, 2 units in parentheses. Okay, everybody good so far? Conceptual development plan dated 8/23 and identified by label as added signage sheet, and that is the only way I could identify it as it's the 8/23 change to the plans states added signage sheet. So, and all related plan documentation reviewed are hereby incorporated into the record of review and is conceptually approved with the following conditions of approval. This EEO zoning designation approval and associated conditions shall be binding upon the application and all successive owners of the land, so long as such shall occur. The approval shall remain effective. These are straight out of New York State code. As an authorization to secure the required permits and establish the uses for a maximum of 1 year from this date of conceptual development plan. Approval, actually, should we say from 1 year from the date of site plan approval? Because that's really what it is. They have 1 year from the time they get site plan approval to finish the project. So is everybody okay with changing maximum of 1 year from?
Yeah, that's a place where you just switch it.
Yeah, I think
Everybody
that was
switch off.
From the date of, yeah, site plan approval, not this date, because it's not. Unless the application shall have submitted written request and the planning board shall have adopted such resolution granting an extension, provided the application has submitted proof of having diligently pursued the implementation of the plans. So they can ask for an extension, but it has to be in writing and they have to show what they've done so far. So these are the conditions. Any and all fees due to the town of Rochester involving this application shall be paid in full prior to the referral to the code enforcement officer by the zoning board of this zoning, by the town board of this zoning designation. Is that who I would send this to? Is the code enforcement notifying them that this is now a new zone district? Because, so before I send this to the code enforcement officer, they have to pay us any outstanding escrow.
You want to say before you send it to the code enforcement officer or before the map is changed?
Before the map is changed. Yep. Prior to
The zoning map being amended,
Say it again, Michael.
the zoning map being amended.
I like it. We can delete everything else or amended with this zoning designation. How's that? The applicant shall make application to the code enforcement office for lot improvement. We don't need this, right? Because they can do that at any time. You just said that.
Well, I can do it anytime, but we can have it in there.
Okay. According to chapter 125 of the Town of Rochester Code, to merge the 5 lots as one and submit application to the planning board for same. Should such lot improvement be certified by the planning board, the plan and deed shall be filed in the office of the Ulster County Clerk for recording purposes.
Just stop it after Clark.
Yeah,
Okay. This is just from, this is all straight from the planning board that 3 copies have to be returned to the Town of Rochester Planning Board within 30 days of recording. Should I remove that
We don't
from
need
us?
that
We don't need that.
because
That's planning board.
Planning board.
Yep, okay, so 4, it goes away. Now 5, subsequent to such recording, the applicant shall be required to apply to the Town of Rochester Planning Board for site plan approval. This submission shall include all documents, plans, and items required in conformance with Article 7 of Chapter 140 zoning of the Town of Rochester Town Code. That is the section that deals with site plan approval. Planning board shall review such application pursuant to this chapter and by New York State Town Law 274A. Utilizing the version of the conceptual development plan as identified as dated 8/23 and identified by label as added signage.
Change recording to following in the first.
Okay, where was it?
Right in the first sentence.
Oh,
of five.
just such filing, got it. 6, following a zoning amendment to create an EEO district, site plan review and approval by the planning board shall be required prior to the issuance of a building permit for any readaptation or modification of development of the property. Is that okay, Mary Lou? They have to get that before, I mean.
Yeah, I think it's in our.
It is. I'm one of those, say it in the decision and make sure it's noticed. Planning board shall not approve any site plan within the EEO district unless such board finds that the plan is in substantial conformance with a conceptual development plan that was submitted to the town board and that served as the basis for the zone change of the EEO district. That is straight out of the EEO code, what they have to do. Modifications, any further proposed change in use of a property that does not comply with the underlying zoning for the property shall be required to go back before the town board for review pursuant to the provisions of this section. Actually, it shouldn't say this section, it should say provisions of 140-18.1. Following the lot improvements required herein, any further proposed subdivision of a property shall require amendment to the EEO by the town board and subdivision approval of the planning board. It's also from 18.1. Following initial construction and occupancy, any changes other than use changes shall be considered as a request for a site plan amendment and be referred to the planning board for amended site plan review. That's also from that. Modifications to the zoning of properties within an improved EEO overlay district require application and approval by the town. So if they want to change the zoning in future, they have to come to us. The town board further imposes these conditions on the EEO approval, and same shall be made conditions of any subsequent site plan approval. Any and all other agency permits or approvals which are currently required or may be determined in the future to be required in conjunction with the construction and or operation of these uses shall be secured or renewed as applicable. Should any conditions imposed by other agency permits cause conditions to be in conflict, the more restrictive conditions shall prevail. Should any permit approvals necessitate a change to the approved site plan, the matter shall be referred to the planning board for consideration. And this is a list of the permits, the UC DPW, which is driveway, should we say the permits, or these are just the agencies they have to go to? The Town of Rochester Highway, the UC Department of Health, and others as determined via review. We know those three departments, there may be others that are identified. Now, this I put in for a discussion. This is a condition that we did put in. The planning board has put in other applications, and we are proposing it in our current code revisions. Outdoor lighting shall be illuminated only during the time period of 1 hour prior to business opening through 1 hour after business closing. They shall remain dark during all other hours, except those determined by the planning board as being necessary for safety and security and illumination. Now, one consideration in there is this is an inn. That's it. It is a 20 now, but that is the safety and security part where they could have. Well, this was put in the Dollar General. They didn't want the parking lot lit up all night, or the sign. But certainly they can reduce the lighting at night to the areas only around the inn and turn off any other lighting. So that's why I feel it's still okay saying safety and security. How does the board feel about that wording? Do you want to change it in any
I
way?
think it's fine, because I don't know what the hours of the inn are, so you could argue
Yeah.
that.
It's technically.
Yeah.
They're-
So if they have lighting associated with.
We could add another sentence that says, you know, all lighting not associated with the inn.
I think it's.
Do you want to do it per use? So,
I don't know that we want to get that specific because of the overlapping uses. I mean, the bike shop obviously is not going to be open. At the inn, people are going to the inn all night. The residential, people are in and out of the residential. So I think, in my opinion, safety and security covers, they could determine with the planning board, these lights, because lighting is definitely the planning board's purview.
Yeah.
So when they do their lighting plan, they can identify on the plan, these are the ones we're turning off at night, these are the ones that stay on.
Yeah, I like the way it's worded because we don't want them to leave all the inn lighting on at all
Right.
times. What we're trying to encourage here is that we're
Trying to lessen impacts on the neighbors of lights that don't need to be on when there's portions of the business not operating. But we also want to address safety and security, and that can be a discussion between the planning board and the applicant as to which ones are necessary for that and which ones are not. So is everyone?
Do you want to add, like what Adam was saying though, outdoor lighting for the uses? Because.
I don't think we want to get into that because my own opinion is, I think there's going to be overlap. Some are not specifically for a use, like the bike shop outdoor lights, if there are any, there may not be other than like a light by the door. They're probably not going to be open after dark, bike shop. They may not need outdoor lighting.
but your Dollar General, you know, if there's 3-foot box illuminated lights on the side of the bike shop, you know, those should be turned off an hour afterwards.
Right, well, they're not.
Shop.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's let the planning board in their review determine what's necessary for safety and security rather than us, because lighting is there. We haven't touched lighting at all, and that is a part of site planning. So rather than us trying to overfigure it when we haven't seen any information, let's leave it to the planning board to determine. And we say, except those determined by the planning board as necessary for safety and security.
Fair.
So I just think to try to take it further is gonna over. Okay.
Hold on, I agree with Adam that it should be by the uses. If they're doing this whole property, there's an inn on there that's 24/7, they could leave the entire property lit up according to this unless the planning board finds it
Right.
unsafe or secure.
Right. So that's my point, exactly. The planning board is reviewing lighting. We have not reviewed lighting, so.
We don't even have a lighting diagram.
Right, so I don't think we can say
Charlotte's point is just a logical thing where it doesn't say each business shall turn off their lights. It says business opening, so it's just, there is a business that's technically.
Right, if they
24
say this
hours.
is all improper.
Understood, but this is where I say that lighting is overlapping, the lighting may not be designated by business. I think we allow the planning board to review the site as a whole and determine what lights are possibly intrusive and what lights are needed for safety and
Or
security.
then maybe let's take this out, let the planning board.
Except I feel strongly about it being in there, and I think I don't know that the planning board will necessarily do this unless we put this in as a condition.
Okay, but I do see what Adam and Charlotte are saying. You say during business hours, it's one property, it's an inn. Business hours are 24/7. So.
Okay, then
You said outdoor lighting should be illuminated only during the time
Advocating for
period.
per use
so
at the end
Right.
of after
For
business.
for
closing,
individual
per-
businesses on the property.
Per
So-
use.
So let me make this proposal then. We take out, outdoor lighting shall be illuminated only as needed per use. Prior to business opening through 1 hour after business closing. They shall, we'll say per use
Yeah.
there. Instead of business, instead of. Outdoor lighting shall be illuminated only during the time period. Per use. Of 1 hour prior to business opening through 1 hour after business closing.
I think that's fine.
And that gives the planning board the ability to decide what lights for which use.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because just for safety and security, the more light you have on a property you're unfamiliar with at an inn adds to the safety and security, but we don't want lights on every single building. there.
Right.
So I'm
Why
trying to
don't-
make it so that it sounds like they can do it on anything that's not just taking.
Why don't we add another sentence that at the end, say the planning board is encouraged. To mitigate. Light intrusion on neighboring properties. Okay, C is there shall be no internally lit signage. I personally would love to see it out of our zoning code completely, but that's my own pet peeve because I think they light up the world. So is everybody okay with saying in the hamlet that it's not appropriate? And I
Those are like the big, you're talking about like a large sign that has the panel lighting.
think the Cohasset liquor sign, when you're going down the hill, it's at Cohasset on 209, that big white sign that stays lit.
Yeah.
So we're saying they can light signage with exterior light, but not internal.
They can have a neon one though, that's not internally lit signage.
I think
Neons are-
that's under the lighting review of the planning board. They have
You
to
get
do,
to, the planning board,
yeah, they have
I'm
to do the
saying that's
signage.
not
it's gonna have to be,
internally lit, like if
No.
they wanted to do an old no vacancy based hotel sign.
Yeah, they could
do
still
They
that form of
but they
sign.
do have to be dark sky
That's
compliant with
Okay.
the, they're gonna have to be dark sky.
But
compliant.
similar to what the point right before this, but we're taking it one step further and saying the town board in this zoning designation is saying you can't have internally lit signage. Because we could add due to the Hamlet district location.
I don't think we need that.
I don't think we need that.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of said in the findings already. Oops, I'm sorry, I forgot to write the last word in the last sentence. So this, and Charlotte, I think I've addressed your concern that you brought up. The residential worker housing shall remain long-term housing and may not be applied for a permit as a short-term rental unit.
Or be used as any other. It has to, my concern is that it has to stay only long-term.
If they change the use, they have to come back to the, if they change the use, they have to come back to the
Storage
town.
or,
They would have to come back to.
It says it shall remain long-term. Should we say the residential?
So any change to the site plan requires them to come back for a change. So if they change to anything other than housing, it's gonna come back to automatically. So, but we're just saying it can't be a short-term rental.
Okay, I would also like it to, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to word this properly. I don't want it to be rentable as a part of the inn, like some hotels do a cottage you can rent with a 30-day minimum. That is also what I don't
Okay,
want.
so
So
the
it can,
the residential worker housing shall remain long-term housing and may never be, we'll say, and shall not be applied for a permit for short-term rental unit. It further shall not be made a part of the inn. That satisfied? Shall not be rented as part of.
it'll not be booked as part of the inn, I
Or-
think would be the proper.
Or shall not be used as any form of short-term.
No, because you could get away with that being long-term rental, because
Oh,
if
one
people
is-
can rent it, it's a 30-day minimum, and someone rents it for 3 months to stay here for the summer, that's technically long-term
I see.
rental.
Yeah, but I would push back of, do we care if they rent it for 3 months to somebody?
Yeah, because it's not increasing the houses. It's still it's.
I
not
think
a long-
using it as part of renting, incorporating it into the end use, I think is the best. We're not gonna be able to, if they only have a tenant for 3 months, I don't know that we're gonna be able to.
Cannot be used, what if it's cannot
People.
be used or charged a fee as part of the inn? A
Do you have
fee
any
for
advisement,
use.
Mary Lou?
Not be used as part of the end use.
Something. Or is it up in the findings about that?
We did.
Maybe we can use that same language, because I do remember switching it around.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Not be associated with the.
No,
Not.
Don't look at me.
you can't say, yeah, saying it associated doesn't really do it.
Not
That
enough
no.
of yours.
But what if it shall not be used for a purpose that would include bed tax? Because then that would get rid of any type of short-term rentals or charge bed tax in rate.
No, but there's no bed tax. If you stay 31 days, there's no bed tax.
Yeah,
30 days
Any-
is,
any
30 days is the max,
days
the max
long.
number. Once you get beyond 30 days, there is no bed
Yeah,
tax. And I
that's
can
right.
speak from experience on that when I've traveled on for work.
I think what you were saying about not ever being able to use it as part of the inn,
That's,
the
that's,
best.
that's the best way I,
we're not gonna be able to.
because they can
Say how
apply to
long.
change the use of it and have to go through a review process.
So you say not be used as a rental from the inn, because you're technically renting, stay at a hotel, would that hold up? As a rental associated with the inn?
Did you find it, Mary Lou?
I don't know. Okay, right, it's number 30, what we have is, the town board finds the continuation of the two-family structure for worker housing will continue the use of housing as the community is in dire need of housing structures. The town board further finds such housing has been committed to not become a short-term rental use. So, I mean.
I
we
think
could
just saying it can't be a part
can
of.
only be worker housing.
Because inn is a short-term rental use, it's the short-term transient rental.
Right.
That we made.
Except if they decide they don't want to rent it to a worker and they want to rent it out in a long-term
That's fine,
situation.
we're saying
okay
that's
with
fine.
that.
We are saying.
So I don't
that's
want to
fine.
say that they can only do it for a worker. The resident shall remain long-term housing.
Yeah.
It may not be applied for a permit for a short-term rental. It further may not become, be rented as part of the inn. I think that addresses your concern.
I think not being rentable space as part of the inn. So it can't be a short-term transient rental, and it can't
Can
be
be
part of the inn.
part of the inn where it's an additional, there are.
They can
two
use
more
it for
units.
worker housing or have,
And I'm not saying that these applicants are, I want to protect the property from that happening if it ever
Yes.
changes hands.
yeah. that was one
It
of the,
stays with the, it
It
stays.
stays with the
land.
law, it stays with the property, so that's why I wanna make that house
Yeah.
stays as housing.
Well, yeah, long-term housing, but I understand long-term housing has different definitions. Greater than 30 days, but I get your point if somebody rents it out just for the summer.
Yeah, so you're not changing your address for that.
Okay. Aaron, do you want to address E? So we're going to, let's leave E as is and add a new F, which addresses, because there were a number of voluntary sound considerations, not just ours. So why don't we say voluntary sound, and let's go back to the original proposal of what they were, the letters. A, B, C, and D as, of 72, A, B, C, and D. So voluntary sound mitigation measures proposed by the applicant shall be made a condition of the, proposed by the applicant as indicated in finding 72, A through D. Are not indicated as described?
That forth.
Set forth, okay, set forth, got it. 72 A through D shall be made a condition of the EEO and site plan approval. Right? We can,
Well, I don't think we can tell that. What's
I
gonna
thought
be-
you said because they were voluntarily added as the EEO.
Yeah, but we can't say the site plan approval.
Okay,
We can't tell them.
so it shall be made a condition of the EEO
Of this,
of the
of this EEO approval.
of this EEO approval. Right, because they don't, it doesn't matter if they don't, if we make it a part of this. then-
Right,
then
it's
it
there.
carries through. Okay. So Aaron, you have a new proposal for
Yeah.
change.
and so no amplified outdoor music.
Well, I don't know that we should have this be a separate thing. I think it should be a continuation of it. With the changes.
Okay,
Adjustments.
So let's do it this way then, Michael. We'll say, E will say volunteer sound mitigation proposed by the applicant set forth in 72 A through D shall be made a condition of the site plan approval, period.
Or of the
With-
EEO. approval.
Of the, excuse me, of this EEO approval, period. No, let me just finish. So, 72, E shall be changed.
No, you can't change it.
We're not changing it, we're saying.
You're just saying that you're,
Get rid
Okay,
of the period and say with the following modifications.
that's the same thing as changing.
But didn't we already vote on that section? We can't go back.
Yeah, that's a finding.
No, that's a
The
finding.
They
That's a
proposed,
Finding was just Charlotte that they proposed this.
so what we're saying, let's just, I think we're.
That's
all
why I
on the
wanted to make
same-
it a new
We
sentence.
all agree, we just need to find the right words, so.
Can I make
Yeah.
a proposal? So I would like E be what I said. F will say the town board, because that was just a finding. So the town board,
you don't need to put it in the town board. This is just all the decisions. I mean, I guess you can.
yeah, I think I want to. The town board restricts, no, that's not the right word. Town board,
There shall be,
As part of this EEO approval,
yeah.
okay,
hours for.
Actually, I think Aaron's way of doing it is right. Just say, there shall be no outdoor amplified music between, or permitted outdoors, or there shall be no outdoor amplified music permitted from Sunday through Thursday after 9 PM. And on Friday and Saturday after
And then we want to say the planning board may further. We want to call back.
The planning board may further, under 140-20 F1, impose more restrictive conditions upon review
Yes,
of noise impacts.
yes. We're not setting the hours. We're
Somebody say
saying,
that again, because I didn't write.
we're saying, no, it can't be later than this, so that it would be earlier. The planning board,
May impose further restrictive conditions
I would just think, but in accordance with
In accordance.
140,
in accordance.
20 F1.
Yep.
We don't have to explain what it is. It's explained.
Yep.
then
Okay.
I have one other thing. I don't know if we need to say this, Mary Lou. Do we need to say, these uses will also be subject to any future noise ordinances, or we don't have to say that because that'll just,
We can't.
they just will be. If
It
we pass a noise ordinance,
Well,
they'll be subject to it.
depends on the future noise ordinance. So you can't predict what's gonna happen. Future noise ordinance may apply to all properties, it may not apply to all properties, so it just, that noise ordinance will deal with it.
I have one more question. Do we know what their start time they listed on there? Like, in here,
Oh.
right,
They
when
didn't
said they
have-
would start,
They didn't.
or
have
it was
to-
just.
So we could say
Yeah.
between 9 PM and 10 AM, noon.
Yeah,
Well, between 10 AM and 9 PM, otherwise you're saying like from 9 PM till 10.
No.
You said that back.
No, I was saying between 9 PM and 10 AM the next night. What I was
No
saying.
amplified music.
No amplified
between-
music. We're saying when it can't
10 PM
happen,
and-
not when it
shall
can
be
happen.
permitted between the hours of.
We could do that too.
Yeah, that's how I thought we worded it, that's why I was.
So
Okay.
there shall be no outdoor amplified.
In that case, we need to say it the other way, not put in the word no. We need to say outdoor amplified music may only occur between the hours. And you guys tell me the start time. 10 AM, noon? I mean, on a weekday, a Sunday.
Hours a day, April 5.
Excuse me, it's not public comment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ridiculous.
I'm gonna ask you to leave, Mr. Roberts, if you're gonna continue to disrupt the meeting, please. This is our meeting. You are here able to observe. You are free to go to the planning board and discuss it with them. This is our decision. Thank you. You tell me a time. Noon? This is, the first is Sunday through Thursday.
Yeah, I don't.
This is why I was
One,
originally
was
doing
just
it. This is why I was originally doing it, is doing the cutoff time.
No, I was just my question was, did they have a start
They
time
did not.
listed?
They did not.
Base the decision
They
off
did
of?
not.
Make sure they didn't
10
have
and
a start time.
No, they didn't. So if
7
we want
a.m.
to set one, we can.
Right.
If we don't, we just go back to the way we originally.
No, we can keep it the way we originally worded it. I was making sure that they didn't already have like a
No, they didn't.
6 or 7 AM start time,
No,
that we should be corrected
Yeah,
with the
what we're-
hours we were saying.
So what the purpose of this is to say that there's no, even the planning board can't make these times any later. They
Right.
can make them
They can make
earlier.
them more restrictive, we can make them less restrictive.
And so I think if it's better for us to set a start time, but I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't-
I'm open to suggestions.
What do we do for the other restaurants in town?
We don't have
don't have-
times for anything.
like I said, I don't think we should impose a restriction on the
The,
start time. You asked if it was brought up, it wasn't. We don't do it for anybody else. Do we even do it for event facilities?
Yes, we do.
So what do we use for them?
it's, I have them.
And we changed it in the new proposal, so,
Right, but
that's not-
no, I know, but
It's one,
we know we've already done other changes, since that we know we're proposing to change.
Can I just ask while we're on the topic? So the establishment of the ambient volume. To me, this sounds like, and I know we've had questions and concerns about this in the past, the applicant gets to decide when that test is
the
conducted.
planning board,
Well, the planning board determines how the ambient is established.
Okay, so the planning board can witness that or be
In
present.
their site plan review, because ambient noise changes throughout the year.
Sure, but I don't want them to have the marching band going by and establish.
right, there is precedent for the planning board having them, having those done.
And,
It sounds like that hasn't always been the case.
well, no, there was an applicant who tried to not do it, and they were called out on it, and it was correct.
Okay.
So, ultimately, what you're saying is, it's the enforcement issue. The code enforcement officer can go there at any time and measure. The ambient is not it's written down and it's always that ambient noise. They can go there at a time when there's not sound being produced and measure and say, this is the decibels,
So
and then it's 10 above that.
I don't think we should mirror our event. The commercial events facilities, its event hours it's limited from 9 AM to 11 PM. I don't think that that's helpful in this, but that's the only hours we have in our code.
Yeah, when we're talking about, again, I don't see any reason to have it there. A start time, but
I mean, it's,
No, I didn't.
and bear in mind, a residential use,
I mean, if we said.
a residential use can decide to have a whole day music thing, and there's nothing we can do about it. So,
I think that the reason to have a start time is so that there's not amplified sound at 6 o'clock in the morning.
so the question is, what time should it be? We just need to come to a conclusion here, because it's getting very late here, so. Whatever somebody wants to suggest, I mean, 10 AM to me seems reasonable, because they're likely not gonna have an all-day thing. They're not commercial event facility. This is in conjunction with the restaurant or the inn, and this is not a commercial event facility. It's not gonna be a concert. They're not gonna have a wedding that goes on from 10 AM till 9 PM, I don't think.
I was just at a 12-hour wedding 2 weeks ago.
Well,
So they good.
okay, it's possible, but, we also have to deal with likelihood.
Mm.
So
I mean,
Or do you do a maximum amount of hours that
we could do that too.
not to exceed
Yeah.
4 total hours in one 24-hour period or?
We can do
I
that too.
like that much better than weekend time, start time.
Okay,
okay,
Not to
so why don't we
exceed-
say outdoor amplified music may only occur or may not occur after 9 PM on Sunday through Thursday and 10 PM on Friday and Saturday, excuse me. And may be for no more than 4 hours in one
24-hour.
24-hour day. And no, let's say, and may be for no more than 4 hours. Between, let me just finish
Yeah.
it before we debate it. Maybe for no more than 4 hours between well, I mean, it's gonna be 12 AM to 10 PM, but I think it's just easier to say, it's 4 hours in duration for any,
4 hours
I've
a
got a
day.
question, obviously your decision. What if they have a wedding at 1 o'clock and they have another wedding at
Not our.
they can't,
every
They
other
could-
restaurant can?
understood,
Yeah, they could have an indoor one and an outdoor one.
understood, this is outdoor music, it's outdoor.
I'm just bringing it up to you.
Understood, understood,
I'm
they're,
thinking from the court's perspective.
I understand, and if they wanna bring the challenge, they can bring the
Oh,
challenge.
absolutely.
I'm trying to mitigate the noise issues.
I got it, but I've got to let you know
I understand,
that's my job.
but it's a hypothetical, you know, are they gonna have 2 weddings in one day? I don't know.
They
This also wasn't
could,
presented as a wedding.
Hmm?
This also wasn't presented as a wedding thing.
But
Presented
a
this-
restaurant can have 2 weddings.
They can,
but,
they
but
can,
they can have as much
I bring it
amplified.
up, you guys do
music
what you
as
want.
Understood. so,
I give you advice and you.
so tell me how we wanna word this then. I'm all for the 4 hours, but I
A
just
day.
don't know how to word it.
I would say 4 hours a day.
But we have to define what a day is.
No, I know, I'm getting.
How
to that
about
point. I'm
a
trying to.
calendar?
That's fine,
Yeah, I mean, look, what we're trying to mitigate is like a band or some kind of
Series.
wedding
of
kind of thing, not
bands
like
that-
playing music during, you know, dinner service.
well, we're saying outdoor amplified music, so that's
No, I
gonna
know.
cover all outdoor amplified music. So this is gonna cover
Oh,
background
yeah,
music,
yeah.
yeah, so I just let's just not try to say if we're not trying to do it, then. we
No,
need
but
to
that's,
change the
that's
word.
why I'm wondering, 4 is like,
Well, then we need to say outdoor amplified live music.
No, I think that it.
No, but I'm just saying, if we want to address what Michael's trying to say, then we need to add the word live.
then it's a DJ live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Oh, no.
So, okay, we're gonna leave it alone. 4 hours in a calendar day.
I think, I gotta be honest, I think 4 hours is too small, you know. A wedding is, you know, a standard wedding is 5 hours, you know, not a 12-hour
But-
wedding.
This is outdoors. Remember, they can have it indoors for more than 5 hours.
And it's only
Just outdoors.
music. You're kind of, most weddings are 5 hours.
I
Dinner,
don't
there's
know,
no
you
music.
it's the center of our town, you know, the middle of the hamlet. You can't have outdoor music for more than 4 hours a day. I mean, that to me, that, you know, when we said, you know, live music, you know, from, you know, until 10 o'clock,
Well, here-
all right, that makes sense. But to say only 4 hours a day, I don't agree with that.
Well,
You know,
if they.
And the only reason we started with that because we didn't have a start time. You know, if we didn't bring up start time, it could have been 12 hours a day, you know?
Well, but we also don't want it because of the closeness of the residents.
Well, also, here's the deal, if they were to get a commercial events facility for an event where they wanted to have music for longer, they can only do 12 of those a year. So I think it's just, the idea is that currently, if they did several times talk about hosting weddings and other customary uses associated with inns and restaurant use, we understand that the reason why in our commercial events code, there's a limit to 12 is because of the impacts that these events have. So we're saying, yes, have those customary uses. We're just trying to mitigate the impacts on the neighboring residential properties.
You know, I
Like,
mean,
so,
it's not stopping them from holding weddings, but their primary use is a restaurant, primary use is an inn. These are secondary uses that are part of it. And I think it is legitimate to restrict them in some manner.
we could, I mean, you seem to feel weird about 4 hours now, too. We could say noon, and then the planning board has the ability the planning board still has the ability to restrict the hours.
I mean,
What if we
say
change
it's
it to
weird
5?
4, I could do 5, that's a normal wedding time, I could do 6 if you think that's more reasonable.
You know, again,
I get your point.
you know, I think I can only put it up against the other things that we have, to compare it to. And take the event, but we got plenty of event facilities and they get 12 hours.
Well, we don't. We have 3 event facilities in the entire town. Not plenty, we have 3.
Wow.
We hear a lot.
We do. But take Stonehouse, for example. All right, like I said, that is in a residential neighborhood. It's surrounded on every side by residences.
Mhm.
We don't have any restrictions on them whatsoever, not one. I can hear it from my backyard. It faces the other ones. You can see it from
Well,
the
let's-
backyard.
Let's ask this though, how many weddings do they have? They don't. They have outdoor music. And yes, they are allowed to have outdoor music. And if we do move forward with a across the board that controls music in all venues, that would be different. But because of the closeness of this directly to the neighbors, I do agree we can oppose. You know, I'm still, and I'm gonna say it out loud, I'm still a little cautious about, based on court precedent of hours of operation. But we did discuss this with our attorney and she said we can, you know, do what we feel and we run the risk of litigation. And when I say that, you said you advise and we decide.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, I'm more for not allowing any outdoor amplified music with what's going on with this discussion, like, we can't seem to come to a common ground with anything else to do with this, with hours, with restrictions. This is, I understand Stonehouse, no building is a stone's throw away from stone, like, is as densely populated. as-
No,
It's
they-
got a neighbor that's within 50 feet, and 2 directly behind it. You know, you don't see them from the road, but they have that whole facility they have up there.
Sand Hill Road in the back is right.
I'm less than 50 yards away, you know, so, and like I said, I have 0 problem with it. I mean, you can barely hear it, you know. My one neighbor does have a concern, you know, but again, you know, they would like there to be 0 noise. You know, again, it's an allowed use for a restaurant. It's a common use for a restaurant. Move next to a restaurant. I know this is different. Those folks over there. But again, part of our comprehensive plan calls for the development of our hamlet area, especially our main street. This fits that. I understand that there's a lot of concern about the noise, but I also think that the applicant has come to us in good faith, talking about the decibel level. We have commercial vehicles, we have 10-wheelers, we have motorcycles, we have all those other things going up and down the street, that make intrusive noise. A little music isn't gonna kill anybody.
So how about,
Handcuffing these guys.
how about this? Do we go back to the original was 9 PM Sunday through Thursday, 10 PM.
And then
Friday
let the
through
planning
Saturday,
board-
let the planning board take it.
I would agree with that.
I mean, we have to have faith in our planning board for doing the site plan review, and they can review and people can submit more information. There's another public hearing
It also
process.
gives, so if you think about with Crested Hen, the townspeople, the folks in that area, they were adamant about it. There was signage, they came together, they collaborated on a noise study. All we have at this point is, I hope they don't play music too long or too loud, and we're basing some very heavy restrictions that are gonna sit on that deeded property forever based on what some local people, and rightfully so. They should be concerned, but we don't, our attorney said, we don't have any evidence that they're gonna be out there playing, music for 15 hours a day either, so. Like I said, I have trust in our planning board. I think the 9 hour, the reduced hours is restrictive enough for this discussion. A second public hearing, and our planning board should mitigate the balance of it.
Yes. Do what you please amongst the forest, or you guys, then. That's fine.
What do you think, Aaron?
I mean, I personally feel like this was the #1 concern. The applicant decided to apply for an EEO rather than going the route of just going directly to the planning board for all of these uses. It gives us an opportunity to work with this project to make it in harmony with the current character of the neighborhood. And I think we have been working really, really hard to make this a project that the neighbors aren't going to just completely hate, which is not what we want. We want this to be in harmony. Like, I want this to be in harmony. I don't want this process to come out with everyone feeling like this is not in harmony with their day-to-day lives. So there are other things that I have decided in this process. I'll say, for one, parking, I am okay with the parking plan. I know that there are concerns that have been raised to us from the public about the number of parking spots. I personally, as a town board member, have looked at that, taken in consideration what I know the impacts of parking lots and parking spaces are, and have accepted the plan we came up with together and the adjustments we came. This one is a sticking point for me. Like, I don't want there to be loud music. I understand what we're saying about the Stone House, which is a single use on a small parcel. This is 6 uses on a 7-acre parcel that is surrounded by residential uses. And I believe that the EEO process allows us both to give like a lightened process to the applicant, allows us to write in special, trying to create it so that they don't have to get a special use permit, so that they don't have to do all this separate stuff. And what we're asking for is just some mitigating measures to make this project in harmony with the neighborhood. And I think that getting this outdoor amplified music right is gonna go a long way in creating that harmony. That is one of our charges.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should either come up with a noon start time, or say 5 hours a day.
Right.
Like, I think we need to do something like that. And then the planning board, if what the planning board wants to do more landscaping, if the planning board wants to set different hours, they can. I doubt that they would do that, but
So my feeling is, though, the 4 hours was a number that just came out it was
Right.
never discussed. We have no evidence that that is a realistic number. We just kind of made it up, and 5 would be the same. The hours I'm more comfortable with, because they did propose hours and we went more restricted with the hours. But to set a time frame on the number of hours of music, if the planning board wants to ask their consultant, and I don't know that they're going to use the same consultant we use, they may not, for advisement, or they want to hire a noise expert, or they want to find out how long. I just think for us to impose a condition now that the planning board is going to be locked into without some sort of study to base that number on, other than just a feeling, is going to open us up to potential litigation. And we do have to worry about that, because the cost of litigation is expensive to all the taxpayers. And we have to consider that. So to just come up with a random number of 4 hours here or 5 hours, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with saying the 9 p.m. and the 10 p.m.
Not to start time.
I don't even feel comfortable in the start time, because, what's to say on a Saturday morning they have something from 10 to 1? I mean, and in the daytime during the weekday, is it even likely that they're going to be doing something? If we try to write conditions that can cover every circumstance that may happen, we're going to drive ourselves insane.
Yeah, look, I think it's reasonable to assume that it's gonna be self-regulating if we put certain restrictions. Like,
Right.
nobody's gonna wanna go to a place that has music blasting from 8 a.m. to 9
Agreed.
p.m. at night. So I think, but I also acknowledge, like, we wanna make sure that we're
Yeah.
setting ourselves up so that we're not gonna get in trouble, or it's not gonna balloon outside of what we think the project's.
I mean, what we heard from the public the impacts were, children going to bed. Those are ending time situations. If we wanted to change it to 8 PM, I maybe could get around that on a weekday. I don't expect that they're going
Well,
to.
the planning
be
board.
doing it. Yeah. But I'm not comfortable with putting a time number of hours on it without some sort of basis for that number, other than just our made up number. I mean, I think we at least owe that to the applicant to at least have a reason for the number, and so.
Can you be okay with only having end hours?
Yeah, and again, because we have two more pieces of, for lack of better, things that are in our favor. One is the trust in our planning board that they're gonna do the right thing with a second public hearing, right? Again, if nothing else comes out of this discussion tonight, it should prompt the neighbors that if they feel that strongly about it, they have that second time. The other thing is, and we talked about this earlier, is if things go haywire, we do have the ability to write a noise ordinance law that we don't necessarily have, that could make it restrictive for everybody in the town, not, or is specified to uses in the town. We're right in the middle of the zone. So to make a decision tonight that's restrictive based on our gut feeling, I don't feel comfortable with. We have the planning board, we have a public hearing, we have the ability to rezone it. We have a lot of safety measures going forward. But if we put that restriction on the EEO, it stays on that property forever. We can't change it.
But you're okay with the rolling back of the recommended mitigations by 1 hour, 10?
Yeah,
9?
yeah, I'm not wild about it, but I can live with that.
I mean, I agree on a weekday, and one thing we changed was they had Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday night to me is a weekday night, not a weekend night. So 9 PM. Yeah. I could get behind 8 PM, but I also think the more we pull it back, the more we're opening ourselves up to, and as you said, the planning board can go further.
The other thing that always comes up with event facilities.
I mean, remember too, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're doing a zoning district change. If we can impose conditions to a degree, but I think we are straying into the business operation now, other than physical elements of the lighting. It's a different aspect to me than because we're not telling them what times they can turn the lights on and off on. We're just saying that when they're not in operation, they have to turn them on.
Well, I think that's where we get into Charlotte's point, which is no amplify, that's where you're regulating
Right.
an activity and a location.
That is imposing on the neighboring properties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Light, how is light different than sound in this instance?
But I'm saying, like what you were saying is you could say no amplified music at all outside. It has to occur inside.
But we're not telling them they have to turn off the lights at 7 PM or 8 PM. We're telling them when they're not in operation and don't need them, they need to turn them off. They're still dictating what their business use of the property is. We're just saying that when you're not using them, turn them off.
Well, see, I feel like saying no amplified music outside during these hours is not telling them how to run their business. They can have that inside.
Well, but if we add 4 hours to it, then we are, because we're telling them, well, you can't book a 5-hour wedding. Yes, they can do it inside, but we are restricting because now their occupation, their number of people in the restaurant compared to outside is different. And I think we're getting caught up in weddings. They may do these, but it doesn't sound like their main goal is not to become a wedding venue. Their main goal is to be a restaurant, coffee shop.
Well, I think the point is we don't know, and
We
there
don't
is
know.
an ability.
We don't know.
We don't know, and I think our job is to try to protect, to make sure that this is in harmony with the neighborhood. That's all. So like, if it is possible for there to be that frequency of use. I think we just want to mitigate it so that we lessen the impact. And I agree, that it's the bedtime hours. It's like the nighttime hours, to me, that seems,
So what would you like us to put in there then? I mean, I'm just, because we're going around in circles here, and so do you want to put a starting time? Do you want to change the 4 hours, or what would you like to do? Because I'm not hearing anybody else come up with suggestions. Because we need to like get to an answer here.
I mean, I did, I came up with a suggestion, I was just saying no outdoor.
Well, but nobody else followed through with that. I understand you did. I'm not
No, I'm
comfortable
saying it
with
was-
that. Yeah,
It seems like the closest thing we have to agreement is setting night hours.
Yeah.
But I don't know where, after what you just said, that you're now going with no outdoor. So, which I don't.
I mean, I don't want to do that, but I feel like if we're saying we can't limit, if we're saying that, I mean, I don't know, I agree, they're probably not planning on starting a
Right.
band at 6 AM in the morning,
right.
but like, what happens if that happens? There's nothing to do.
And we have to do those sort of things.
Well, but as Adam said, there are other ways we can do, because forget this property, we don't want that to happen anywhere.
No.
So if we want to address that, then we need to address that townwide. And as I said to you guys earlier, I'm planning on bringing a proposal next meeting, very next meeting, for a local law that addresses outdoor music in general across the town. So, which probably will be adopted faster than this will at the rate we're going, and I apologize for that. But
The other thing too is, it's just a reminder that, at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday in February, I promise you, there's not gonna be any outdoor music out there. Again, it's gonna be, most of the time, we're talking about, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we're talking about the nice weather. It's also the time that other people want to be outside too, so I get that. But this isn't just because it's not allowed use year round, it typically isn't. It's usually consolidated to, part of the year that, is more conducive to it. Summertime, it's light out later, things like that, so.
And I kind of feel too that we shouldn't use the fact that they applied for an EO as a hammer, just because we have the ability to, which I'm still in doubt whether we do, but just because we have the ability to, there are a lot of benefits to the community of this project too. And
And
we
I
feel
don't-
like we're getting hung up on something that, quite frankly, the planning board can take it to another level in the site plan review. And we can debate whether it should be 4 hours or 5 hours, or whether we should be at a start time or an end time. I felt like we were all comfortable with the 9 PM and the 10 PM, and then we got sidetracked here.
That would be my recommendation.
Still comfortable with that.
You're still what?
Comfortable with doing that and not having the start time.
Well, I mean, we could put it to a vote of the board, and I don't want to get to that, but there's 3 of us in favor of that, or are comfortable with that.
The thing that I'm most comfortable about is that the planning board can be the ones to do the noise study. That was not something that we did.
Mhm. Nor should we have with a zoning district study. We're approving a conceptual, and that's the thing to keep reminding ourselves, this is a conceptual site plan. And
The thing the thing that I wanted to set is a minimum standard that the planning board could go off of. That they can't go beyond that, but they can go more.
we've done that.
But I also don't feel like we're using this as a hammer, because I feel like there's a lot that we've also given in this, I feel.
Well, do you have another proposal other than, we have 3 people that are comfortable with the 9 PM and the 10 PM and stopping there. Do you have another proposal that you want to make? And then because we could keep debating it back and forth, but I think unless we actually say exactly what we were proposing, and then we either vote or,
I mean, that's a majority of you, so.
yeah, well, but
If there's a
if
different
there's a
idea,
different proposal, I want to hear it, but I haven't heard it other than the 4 hours, and I'm not comfortable.
Or the no's.
Or the no amplified music, which I'm not comfortable with either.
I honestly, I feel like I am not able to process what I think the best. I would like the planning board to be able to impose the restrictions that they see fit. And I don't want those restrictions to be any later than 9 PM or 10.
Right, well, that, I think. is
That's what we did with
That's
this.
what we did,
Yes,
and we've already said that.
yes,
We've told them that they can,
this was my idea that I think.
right, understood, but
So
then,
I feel, I
then the
guess
4
I,
hours came in and now
Yeah.
we spent almost an hour now debating how to handle that, and so either we're gonna add the 4 hours or we're not gonna add the 4 hours, or we're gonna change it to 5 or we're not, and we're just gonna stay with what it is and we move on to the next point. I mean,
I think that was clearly struck for a while now, the hour thing. I think
Okay.
That it's
Well,
strictly,
then-
you guys are in agreement about
okay,
the 9 and
So-
10 PM times.
so we're gonna remove
Me and Adam
the,
are opposed for different reasons.
okay, so we're gonna remove that and we're just gonna do the 9 PM, Sunday through Thursday, 10 PM Friday and Saturday. Okay, I'm moving on to the next point. The applicant shall install all parking devices and access points as are indicated on the conceptually approved conceptual development plan. I guess I could take conceptually approved out and just say approved conceptual development plan. Applicant shall propose contractually to the town of Rochester Town Board for an off-site parking contract if so desired. Is that, or should we not even put it in there? Because they would have to anyway. Let's take it
Well, they
out.
don't have to propose to us, they
Right,
just
they
have to
could-
make
yeah.
it part.
No, if they want to use our parking, so. Yeah, because we've, so applicant shall supply or provide, applicant shall provide 6 off-site parking spaces. Or provide equivalent on site. Because they could change their mind and find 6 more spots on site.
I think we said that at one point.
We said it in the findings, but now we
Yeah.
need to say it in the conditions.
Okay, 6 additional parking spaces, whether on-site or off-site.
Okay, it's, I provide 6 off-site parking spaces, or provide on-site, it's the same thing.
Okay,
It just, I don't know. Or equivalent. H, there shall be no temporary signage displayed as banners, pennants, or other advertising information signs except as explicitly allowed under Town of Rochester zoning code, either by right or with code enforcement officer permit. This was, freely admit, this is my own thing. What I hate seeing is all those pennants waving strung between trees or buildings and, you know, looking like a used car lot. It's not in our signage code. It is in the proposal that I wrote to, that we were gonna talk about tonight, and I have a feeling we're not now, but, how do people feel on that?
I disagree. If they're having a special event there that they need, that they're
Okay.
gonna put up a sign for.
I'm fine with taking it out. I just, it was in there.
I get it for a long term. I
Yeah.
understand.
Let's take it out.
Annoyance with it, but if they're having an event or need to put up parking signs or
Yeah.
things like that.
Should be no deliveries between the hours of 10 PM and 6 AM. Are we okay with that? That isn't added, you know, what we don't want is middle of the night deliveries.
Functional.
But it seems like a reasonable time to do it. On-site parking shall be an approved site plan. Designated parking spaces, actually, should we say conceptual development plan, not site plan there? Well, ultimately, though, it's gonna be approved on the site.
Let me just put an approved
It, yeah,
designated.
site plan is appropriate.
Okay, shall be an approved designated parking spaces only. All designated parking places shall be kept in safe and accessible condition, free from any obstructions. There shall be no use of designated parking spaces for any purpose other than vehicle parking, including display or storage of products, materials, or supplies. So they can't suddenly, start piling stuff up in the parking spots. No parking or standing permitted in any public road right of way, including delivery vehicles making deliveries. The designated loading area shall be the only location for receiving deliveries. A location for customers who may travel via bicycle to safely secure their bicycles shall be established and maintained. Especially if it's going to be a bike shop. We want bike racks. The county will love this for that. The county really emphasizes bicycle transit as an alternative method. A dumpster and related enclosure area shall be maintained in a safe and secure manner and always remain inaccessible to non-employees. There was no dumpster on the plan that we, so they need to provide one. All landscaping to be retained or added and depicted on any approved site plan shall be maintained and replaced if dead or diseased with like-kind plantings. Planning board will be approving their landscaping, but we want to make sure that if they die, they replace them.
That part of the planning boards.
Not always. That's direct from the planning board, but it's not in the code. So this one, we're just saying to the planning board, make sure you put this on. By adding it in ours, then they can't do different. So that way we're sure it's in there. Anything else? So Mary Lou, we're not voting on this, obviously,
Right,
tonight.
because of the.
I'm gonna make these changes. I'm gonna provide this to everybody on the board. Hopefully by midnight tonight. 8 days from now, so we will next do a meeting, but I don't need to do a vote on this now.
No, you don't have to do a vote on this now, but you may as well schedule. your
Yep.
special meeting.
So I'm gonna make a motion to schedule a special meeting for the purposes of vote on local law 10 of 2023 to be held at 6 p.m. Friday, October 20th at the Harold Lipton Community Center. 15th.
They have the Halloween parties.
Ah, yeah,
And then
we'll
clean
definitely
up,
say.
so probably do that and sleep. You can't.
What?
You can't do it, you said.
Oh, yeah. It's true. I don't know
Okay,
why.
how about Monday, because we have established that they can apply.
Right.
No,
they
why
can-
don't we just do it
it's
at our
not-
next meeting?
You can do it at the next meeting, because you're not.
26th, let's do it, let's do it at the audit meeting, 26th.
Easier.
Okay, so then never mind.
Would you like me there? So
So we're having a
virtual?
special
The virtual is fine. We're gonna be doing budget that night, we're gonna be doing audit meeting, and we're gonna be approving this.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know,
It's that time of year.
you guys gotta tell me if we wanna work on zoning code tonight, we gotta get it done, if we're gonna get it to the county by,
Actually, maybe 5 minutes.
I know, well.
Should we,
Executive session.
what's the, oh, we have.
We have to do the executive.
No, I was
Yeah.
gonna give you, I don't know what else, you're gonna do, but I was gonna give you my comments tonight. I can email this to all of you.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
why don't you email our comments? You know what, we'll take Mary Lou's comments, I'll incorporate them this weekend into the zoning code in a different color. I'll email it to everybody. In the meantime, though, I did print out, I'm gonna give it to you because I spent hours printing it, I know. This has the parking section in it, the new parking section. I need feedback on the parking of whether we need to change it, we like it.
It's too much.
I know, well,
Both these?
Oh, just one?
You got it all
I
in
mean, I
one
have it on
packet?
my-
well, no, it's only the first half. The second half, the only thing that changed was this page. So here's that page. So here you go, guys. I did not put it for you, Mary Lou.
No, that's okay, I have it
Oh,
on.
no, I actually did. I did.
Violation.
What?
I just opened to the page that the gnome was on.
So,
Sounds good.
the gnome is an iconic sign.
I had somebody say.
No.
Now with a no.
So,
Yeah, thanks for not saying hello when you're here.
so Mary Lou will email those comments. I will this weekend get them into the code in a different color so everybody can see them. We'll figure out between now and then when we meet. We gotta get to the county so it can be on the November 1st agenda, or we're not gonna be done by December 15th.
And you know,
The zoning,
that you can get on their agenda, you're gonna have public hearings. If
So-
You may be making further changes.
so let me tell you. The game plan of schedule was send it to them, be on their November 1st agenda. Hoping we could get zoning map done by then, but knowing that it might not be possible, but I want, the code is certainly more important than the map. I confirmed verbally, they do not need to see the subdivision code again. We just need to discuss whether we're going to incorporate their recommendations and the town planning board recommendations. So into the subdivision code or not. Otherwise, subdivision is done with the exception of those. They have to finish the map. We have to get the map to the county. We could get it to them for the December meeting, still get our referral back in time for December 15th. But we got to get it to them. If we don't get this to them until December, we're not done. Then my plan was to do the public hearings on November 30th, which is after budget, after everything is done. So the November 30th, in theory, is only signing the bills. So we would do the public hearings like at the audit meetings like we used to do for the zoning code and for the subdivision code. And move on from there. And that gives us time to then respond to any changes that comes up. Or we let the moratorium expire and we get this done whenever we get it done and we don't care, which is an option.
Yeah.
So,
You want me here for the executive session?
okay. So we're gonna skip the zoning update, and so town board motions to enter into executive session at 9:45 PM. Purpose of discussing pending litigation.
Make that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks, Kate. Kate.
45 minutes.
Do you want to lock your folder?
No.
Or something?
So
We stop the stream?
Not yet. Would you like to do it?